Levi seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carries. City
Grant and Civic Club, the charitable deed and trust fund, for the benefit of the city
can't hear the speaker.
You can't hear the speaker?
Check.
Nope, that's just you guys. I think, I don't know.
I don't hear it either, usually hear something.
Yeah.
I usually hear it. It's been a Monday. Sarah is watching, we forgot to plug stuff in.
You probably figured it out.
You're just reading your lips.
Probably. She hasn't messaged me yet.
If you go over to the camera and pull up the sign that says Sarah gets an oil.
Sarah.
Well, even though we don't have audio going out to the audience out there in virtual land, Jim, you wanted to say something?
322 First Avenue Northwest. The new owners have inquired on the trees growing on our easements or our street there. I'm assuming I should go ahead and have those removed.
It's on our easement?
Oh, it's on,
Sarah's
yes,
looking now.
yeah, it's on the street.
Okay.
What's the address?
322 First Avenue Northwest.
320.
322 First Avenue Northwest. The house just sold where the homeowner was asked to move the garage. And
Okay.
they came over and surveyed it and found the property where the street is, but there's some big trees back there. I'm assuming we should go ahead and have those removed.
Does that affect the fence to the west at all?
Because,
Yeah.
so,
Is there any city procedure for like, trees in the boulevards that like a limit or danger to a building? You know, or we just
it would get sent to the commission. I would guess a 3-stall garage would get sent to commission.
That's my understanding. Planning and zoning wants to look at it first, and then they'll determine if it's beyond their scope and send it to Mike.
But the one thing that I know, Paul, at least I asked for, and I think Paul wanted, is something in writing so we can actually see what this is, not just us talking about it. It's hard for me to understand and try to figure it out if it's not written down and fucking clear. That's kind of what we had asked the last time.
And from what you were saying there, about that might be at least a good start. From what you were reading there,
Yes,
we can kind of digest it, and make sure that it is that way.
that's just my notes from the conversation. So I
But
didn't-
be sure it's something like that, so we can kind of, so it's clear, and I can see it written down. And then,
Obviously, if we aren't getting.
it's nice to have it written down that way, if there's any questions on the road, you just go back to where,
So something's.
so how we're gonna look at
Make
it.
it official.
Some,
Make it official. And one question in addition to that too is, so how do, when a project is done, let's say you're building a 3-car garage or addition, is it ever inspected to verify that it was within the property line? And how does that get done? When Mike Creston, does he go back, does he have a form or anything he fills out? Because I think we really need to have somebody when a project is done, Mike, if it's approved by our planning and zoning, somebody needs to go and examine and look at that project when it's done and sign off that it was done within the parameters that were set to be done. So it didn't end up a foot over, or it was 10 feet instead of 8 feet, or the elevations of the property lines. I think somebody needs to sign off saying they inspected it and it fell within the guidelines of the building.
And I think the way that a lot of it works, if you have a contractor that builds a 3-stall garage, for example, your electrical has to be certified electrician so that it passes that code, like plumbing, and so that's what I have to.
But that's, and I understand all that, but what I'm saying is it something, there you got it, working. Is somebody basically.
It should come back.
It should come back to, and all it does is, as simple as Mike, okay, did you get the electrical done? If it was hooked into the sewer, was it properly done? Who did it? It didn't get moved by 5 feet, because they thought nobody was coming back to look at it, something like that. Just somebody that can basically verify that it was done the way it was requested to be done. I just think that way, it kind of protects everybody a little bit, because now we basically say, and then in case with the big projects, like with Mike Blevins, he basically does all that. So my thing is, if we do a big project like that and nobody kind of checks it over when it's done, especially elevations, look at Prairie View, how we got into trouble there. This way, somebody actually checks it when it's done. Okay, if there's 2 feet more dirt in the backyard than is allowed, that's the time it's got to be torn out, not talk about it 2 years later. But if we don't have somebody look at it when it's done, how do we know that it fell within the parameters of what we're doing? So that, in addition to what you were kind of reading, that's a good, just so we can kind of make it official. So.
And couldn't it be even, a check box type thing where if you have this, if you're putting in a foundation, you need to go here. If you're not, and you're just moving a shed in, you can go this route.
Mm-hmm.
Something that people can look at and try to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Just so that my thing is that you at the city kind of know exactly how it's going to work. Because if I come in there and I'm doing something and I say, this is what I'm doing, you know exactly, this is the step. The first person you need to contact is this person or this person, whoever it is, so when they leave the office, they know what they have to do. There's no gray area, so to speak. And if there's a gray area, you have to have them contact Mike and stuff like that.
So you want Mike Kress to come in and have a bullet point, sit down with Sarah or myself and have a bullet point list created.
Right. To kind of show that because we want to make sure, because we started with this because they went too far, they felt. Okay, how are we reeling it back in, and what are we doing that's different than the way it was before, so that we find that happy medium, because that's what we were trying to do, if I understand right. It went too far one way.
So in the case of the birdhouse, that would, since it's just a remodel, are you guys okay with, because I know they want to get going on it, are you guys okay with him getting just a P and Z? Or do you,
What are you talking about, birdhouse?
I believe
the
that one.
322, sorry,
I think that one being that it is
Well, bird.
condemned, it should have.
sorry.
Bill Bird, yeah.
My belief on that one, because there's so many issues with it, one of them being that there was that kitchen was not put on a foundation, that needs to go to Mike and make sure everything is done the way it should be. That's my feeling on it.
I think Mike Blevins needs to be doing that one.
Yeah, cause did Mike?
Since he started it,
Yeah,
Yep.
did Mike
Okay.
Kress say that they were, I think that one would be beyond what they'd wanna do, so.
okay.
That would be my recommendation anyway.
Any other recommendations for the planning and zoning? Okay, moving on, community foundation updates,
Nothing at this point.
railroad park update.
Email has been sent, check has been sent, and I responded back to him about last week to see if there was a timeline, and they said unfortunately there isn't anything, but I'll keep on it.
You can't rush.
No.
Okay, mural contest,
That is still open. We've got, what did I say last week? 5, I think, that have turned in so far, so we're waiting until the end of the month.
1881 extraction document update. I think John got the paperwork and we signed the paperwork. And Pat?
Pat's got, do you have, okay. Okay, I will put the, I didn't have, you must have it with, right? Okay, 'cause yeah, I didn't get that. I just have the lease agreement up here. And this was, okay, and this part was in your packet. And then we had him fill out, so this is the lease agreement that John Juleson requested from Pat and Brandon for 1881, and it meets the correct guidelines, right, John?
Yes.
And so
Yes, it
now
does.
we just had Pat fill out a new tax exemption form so that it's current with the lease that we got. And so we just need approval for that property tax incentive.
Well, I think what we want to do is follow what the statute says, and Ashley and I talked last week about the lack of a need for a competitor's notice, given what 1881 is, what business purpose they have. But you know, when we get an exemption application like this with the accompanying lease, our first step is to notify Department of Commerce in regards to the application request before we would pass a motion approving it. So I think with Ashley sending that out to Commerce, that's the next step, and then we'll get an indication from them that we're good to go, and then we can move for approval.
Okay,
It's basically, the process is the same for, generally the same for all applications like this. And it's all set by, I think it's 4057.1. I don't have my information with, but I believe that's the Century Code chapter that covers what we need to do.
okay, so Pat, we'll get this sent out to Commerce, and then the next commission meeting, we'll go ahead and approve it, get a motion for approval. I don't think so.
No.
Okay, moving on to petition to rezone block 1 and block 1 lots 3 and 4. Planning and zoning approved, so wanted to turn it over to the commission.
Was it always 3 and 4? I thought it was, okay, yeah, it is
2 and
4.
3. It's
What's
2 and 3. It's the middle ones.
Well, is that, but it says lots
3 and 4 here.
Oh, is it 3 and 4? So
And
I
that's still the middle ones?
wrote it right.
Oh, it is the two end ones. It was originally the two
I
middle.
thought it
middle
was the
ones,
two
yeah.
middle ones. On the website, it showed the two middle ones. Huh?
And you have two middle ones out of five.
Well, that's why I'm wondering, what is is number one on the east side of the driveways or the west?
I thought it was only 4 out there.
Well, there's four on the west. So there's 4 on the west, so is it number 3 and, so where's it
I
coming?
can look, hold on. Let me pull up the Riverwalk stuff.
It's lots 3 and 4.
Okay.
One starts on the east. One and then 2,
3 and 4?
So 3 and 4.
Is
then,
it
Jim,
3 and
are the
4?
middle two then on that west side?
Because it starts at, 1 is on the east side of the
Oh, okay,
entrance and 2 is on the,
okay.
So we got the 2 middle ones then that they're looking for. 40, let's see, 48 total apartments? 224s? Okay, discussion from the commissioners? No discussion, do I have a motion?
Well, I think Terry did,
Planning and zoning did approve.
yeah, I was just wondering, normally we would get a recommendation from a planning and zoning member, that they approved and we should proceed with the rezoning. That's, if Mike
not-
mentioned that, why then, I mean, that, I think we'll proceed anyway, but I just wonder if anyone had gotten that indication from Mike.
Yep, today he told me that planning and zoning decided to change lots 3 and 4 in Riverwalk from C1 to an
Okay.
R3.
So then the minutes should reflect that, and we'll proceed with the rezoning. And
Okay.
what's going to happen then with the rezoning is that I'll get the notice to Cole in a timely manner such that 6:30 on our June 6th meeting, we can have the city commission hearing to approve the rezoning, and at that meeting, assuming we approve the rezoning, we'll have the first reading of the ordinance changing the zoning map as it relates to those 2 lots, and we're well on our way to having this done.
Okay,
So
but
the
we don't
first-
we don't have to have a motion before you send it out for the review and the reading, first reading? That you want that to happen in June 6th then?
Correct. Tonight, I just wanted to know that Mike had said that planning and zoning recommends that we proceed. Based on that, we'll publish the notice that's required for the planning, for the city commission hearing on June 6th.
Okay,
So do we need a motion to accept his recommendation, or no?
Well, you can do that. That's fine.
Is that how many weeks you
I
have
think
to
that
have
was
that in the
your
paper
question.
before you can have your first reading?
Well, I might have jumped the gun a little bit, but there are 2 publications. There will be a publication this coming Friday,
Okay.
and there will be a publication the following Friday.
So you'll be okay then?
Which, just give me a shot here, which will be the 20th and the 27th. Those will be the 2 publication dates, and that allows adequate notice then for the commission hearing on May 6th, and assuming the commission grants the rezoning, we could have June 6th, we could have the first reading of the ordinance changing the zoning map on June 6th, and then at the following commission
Second
meeting, we would finalize the ordinance, but the rezoning would have been approved by vote of the commission on June 6th. So we're kind of moving as fast as we can on this one.
yeah, like Dave said, we were just wondering if we needed to have a motion to accept planning and zoning's recommendation.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Okay,
So maybe Dave wants to make a motion?
I'll
or-
make the motion
Do I
to
have a sec-
accept Mike's recommendation.
do I have a second?
second.
Levi seconds, any other discussion? Paul?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Levi?
Yes.
Any yes for me? Thank you, John. Moving on to the outdoor drinking ordinance first reading. JR, did you put something together?
I did, yes, and actually, did you include that in the packets?
Yes, I did.
I still haven't had
Not
a
in the
chance to get
paper,
it.
I have it up here. But I sent it to them in their email.
You need time to review it there.
Yeah, you gotta send it to me, I don't have it.
Oh, I thought you got it from,
I got the one from Mike Kress gone tonight, but I don't have an attachment.
oh,
I think I forwarded in the attachment.
yeah, I thought Dave forwarded
did.
it too. Um, thought I put it in here. I'm struggling today. It was for the, well, not that one.
I don't know if I haven't really had a chance to really peruse through this real good, so I just as soon, and being Terry hasn't even seen it, so maybe we should just table it.
I
And
agree.
have a, you know, make sure it's, that way we can read it. If we have any changes or questions, whether it be Terry or us, refer back to JR. And whether or not we can make changes of any sort or recommendations. So that's what I'd move to table it if that's okay with everybody.
Yeah, I think you haven't really reviewed it, so.
No. Okay, we'll go ahead and table 8.8, the outdoor drinking ordinance for the first reading. Moving on to new business, the running club 5K, same route as last year. I think that's really good for Hillsboro, brings in a lot of, participants from out of town, so.
I'll
any-
move to approve.
Move to approve.
I'll
Levi
second.
moves to approve, and Paul
Second.
seconds. Any other discussion? Levi?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
And a yes for me. I saw that Ashley sent out a timely email about the armory cleaning lady is got a full-time job in Halsted. So Ashley would like to take and do another posting. I hope we have as much success this time. Took a long time last time. So any discussion before we have a motion?
Where all you want to post it, Ashley?
Anywhere possible, throughout the state, anywhere I can, so that we can try to get it.
That's kind of what I was hoping that we'd get, is wherever we feel we might get something, so.
Can we
Well,
not
now-
accept her resignation?
Can what?
Can we not accept her resignation?
Well, I think she's gonna go whether we accept it or not.
And extradition with Minnesota would be tough.
Just tell her we didn't accept it and see what she says.
I'll move to accept the resignation and open up the position.
Levi makes the motion to open up the position and post the job.
I'll second it.
And Dave seconds. Any other discussion?
Do you need to know any amounts? How are you gonna present it, for what kind of pay, or how are you gonna do that? 'Cause I'm guessing you might have to do something if you do job service, a pay scale of some sort.
Yeah.
Just use what you did for her, or how do you?
Yeah, is that all right with everybody?
Well, and we could do that, and then we could
mileage
also
might be-
advertise, should we advertise it as bids?
That might be a better way to advertise as bids, but I don't know how that works on job service. Just for the record, and I hope nobody from job service is watching, it's really, really a pain to post on there. I know it's good for
I've
it,
done
but
it. I've done it a few times. Yeah, it is a
It's-
pain.
it's a pain.
I guess a question I have, is there any other, besides the armory? I know the airport has contracted their cleaning service when Tom was, over at the armory. Is there any other facilities that might be able to come in that would make it a bigger incentive to come and do the cleaning?
We could
any-
add this building on,
in this building?
and we
Would
could
it-
add City Hall on if you really wanted to.
Matt,
what-
do you need anything clean?
Sure.
JR?
The shop
A
needs,
shop, maybe?
The shop, there you go.
Well, I'm just wondering if we spread the pain across more facilities, if it would be, we might be able to take and put a wage or a salary that's out there that might be a little bit more competitive, but
Well, let's start with what we did last time and
go from there.
spread the word.
Okay?
If anybody knows of anybody or a good place to advertise, let Ashley know, so.
Okay, we had the motion in the second, so we'll start with you, Dave.
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Levi?
yes.
And a yes for me. The Tap That Eggy Foundation Site Authorization Renewal Approval, anything new on that, I guess, Levi?
I
How
have
do you
nothing
know?
to,
was
I
gonna
have
say,
nothing
you
to do
have
with
nothing
that.
to do with it.
I thought you talked to Tony though, didn't you?
That would be about the community foundation
Yeah.
afterward.
This is a different one.
This is for the gaming, so that they can,
Oh.
it's the site authorization so that they can have their machines in the tap that.
My apologies, okay.
So it's just their renewal.
The yearly renewal that was in the
yes.
packet then.
Yep.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so can we get a motion to take and accept the Eggy Foundation site renewal approval?
I'll make the motion.
Dave makes the motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Levi seconds, any other discussion?
I have some questions on this. We've been dealing with this a little bit on the community foundation and the firemen's. I would like to see that they've followed up with their side on this as far as what they were gonna do with the money. And, they can give reports. We can see reports of what they've done with the money. I think we should do our due diligence to make sure that they're following up with their end of the deal. Cause I haven't, I've heard that the fire department's gotten checks.
Fire department
And I
has
know that
gotten-
foundation, but I haven't heard, what else is there, so.
Terry's here.
Who's it?
Terry Peterson, I'm president of
Okay.
the Foundation.
He had a bigger beard last year, I
know,
think.
I look a little bit different. The new look. Anyway, just wanted to come and, we were on the agenda, so we like to get these commission meetings. Wanted to thank you guys for being the first year. Of course, all the donations and all of our records for charitable giving are public record. If anybody wants any of those reports, they can contact the AG office and gather them. What you'll find though, if you did pull them right now, is that we've donated $9,500 to the Hillsboro Fire Department. So, if that was your question, that's where we're at right now.
And they thank you.
And we thank you guys. We're happy to be here. We love being in small towns and giving back to small towns. Again, we don't have a program ourselves, so 100% of the charitable proceeds stay right here in Hillsboro. So, again, thanks a lot.
So nothing has gone to the pool one that he had mentioned?
No, in fact, we have another $9,500 at the bank account here in Hillsboro, waiting to be donated. As far as the pool project goes, I know a little bit of the request that was sent to Tony and Tap that. Of course, it's not Tony's funds to allocate, state foundation's funds to allocate, so I don't know whether he's signing or, I just heard about it, so, yeah, it's in there in a big fund, waiting to be donated, so.
With your organization, in your account group?
So you're the one that would sign off with the foundation then?
Well, we could, it would be up to our board to do that. I can't speak on behalf of my board, but, I can for sure tell you that, all of those funds will be donated to something in Hillsboro. If you sent that request to us as an organization, I couldn't predict whether, the board would vote to allocate those funds directly to the pool. I don't know that.
Well, because what we were working towards with Tony, at least when he reached out to us, was he wanted to set up through the community foundation a fund that would be there to build on, that others could donate to for a new pool. But he wasn't. They haven't signed or agreed upon the agreement that John had worked through with the community foundation. Because I think one of the things that the community foundation, North Dakota Community Foundation, wanted to make sure that was in there is that the funds just didn't sit there for 30 years and the Hillsboro never got a pool. It was, if there's no pool, what's the contingency after 5 years? And that was, I believe, what Tony was held up on, so.
Yeah, I mean, I know this, the funds will be donated to Hillsboro. What I don't know is whether or not that's maybe the ideal project for that. I think Tony wants to donate to the pool, right? Like, he would like to suggest that the donations go to there. There's also the fact that as long as the pool isn't, we have an account here, it's not being charged 3%, right, from the foundation part of it. If that ends up being the project that is recommended to be funded, then we'll go
Does that other $9,500 have to be allocated before the renewal starts for the next year?
No,
So it can just ride in your kitty until it gets donated?
absolutely.
Okay.
My concern is that we've been waiting on this to talk to Tony about this and what he plans on doing with this, because that was part of the agreement. Initially, he said he was gonna do those two entities, and Levi, I know, has reached out to him several times, and I just, it bothers me that he hasn't followed up on this to get it taken care of.
And again, just to clarify, Commissioner, I can't, I'm sorry, my.
Garai.
So,
You know, it would be, you know, to come to a business, whether it be Tony or whether it be the VFW or whether it be, the brewery in town, they happen to have charitable gaming. To come to the business themselves and request charitable gaming funds from the charitable gaming entity that's in there is, probably not the right process, you know, like, I mean, if there's gonna be a contract in that sense, but I could, from President Eggy Foundation, I can assure you that the funds will be donated here in Hillsboro. I don't know, again, I don't know 100% whether it's the pool, but it sounds like the pool, but, I mean, we're sitting in the bank here in Hillsboro to be allocated, so. I don't know how else to.
well, I just remember being at the meeting, and that was his big thing, is that the money would be spent, you know, at the pool and with the fire department, and, you know, and we've had a year. He's had plenty of time to get this done, and it isn't done. You know, I'm not saying it's not getting done, but what I'm saying is how do we get that to move along with him? That's not maybe a question for you, but I'll tell you this much, that he'll probably be here the next meeting if he doesn't get his license renewed.
Well,
You know,
I mean, I don't, I can tell you as a Eggy Foundation board president, what we're doing right now is splitting the funds, and half of it is going to the fire department, and we're cutting checks every quarter. Half of it is going to an account sitting here in Hillsboro, right? And maybe that goes to the pool. I think that's the project that we want to give to. Whether it's through the, community foundation or not, you know, that's also up to us, whether it's, you know, donated directly or through them. So that's where we're at on it.
thank you.
So what I heard, Paul, is you want to wait then until we have this
Well,
resolved?
I don't necessarily need to wait. I just want, you know, because Levi's, how long have you been working on this? You know, to try and make this connection, to try and get this going.
But listening to this, I mean, do we have to have it in the community foundation? Because the only reason that we had to put it in the community foundation was because the city itself could not receive the funds ourselves. So that's why we were gonna set this up. But in the same instance, we could also set it up on our own and it wouldn't be part of. Because if the city, if we set this up for this fund, we don't necessarily have to have Tony to sign off on it. Tony's just requesting that this is where it goes. Because the process, if I, correct me if I'm right, John, that when we set up the community foundation, we'd have to set up a group that would be in charge of that funds, just like the Hillsboro Community Foundation. And the funds would come in and they would have to request from the Eggy Foundation to go into the community foundation. But it would also could be where others could donate to it for a pool project.
Yeah, that was the main draw of using the North Dakota Community Foundation, is we would have a 501c3 entity already set up that could receive community donations other than from the Eggy Foundation, that would go toward the new pool. And so we thought we had a good solution to what everyone was looking for, and I think, you know, Paul's point in acting on that, we just need to you know, get some suggestions from Tony. I took a shot at that first agreement. I cleaned it up a lot from what came here, and so I think it's workable, but there were some things that we wanted input from Tony, because that's the site, and so.
So I assume that the Grandin Civic Club is a 501c3, correct? What would be the difference?
Oh, excuse me, but I'm sorry to interrupt, but were you asking that because they're a charitable gaming organization?
No, I'm asking, they made a donation gift earlier in the commission meeting. So, you know, I'm trying to figure out, if we don't have the community foundation, is there a way that that $9,500 could be sent and used for the pool?
There's, for the incentive, there's no restriction. I mean, there's no rule that a charitable gaming organization needs to donate to a community foundation set up for a specific purpose. If that purpose happens to be a zoo, or in this case a pool, the city entity or whoever's in charge of that pool or zoo or what have you can just come to us directly with a request.
I understand that, but it's to reiterate what Levi is saying. We as a city cannot take the $9,500 and apply it to the pool.
Absolutely you can.
So,
I mean, if you gain, we've given this, I mean, we bought a snowplow for Granville, because we're in Granville, which is a request from the city for that. City entity is eligible use under the charitable guidelines, giving guidelines, so.
I think we've been at this so long that it goes back to the issue. I'm not disagreeing, I'm agreeing with what you said. But the issue that we had to deal with, that I brought up initially, was the way the foundation draft of the first document came to us, basically asking the city to put money into the foundation for the pool, and that's where we can't do that. You know, we can't make contributions, gifts.
so now, correct me if I'm wrong, so if he's right, and the $9,500 comes to the city for the pool, that could be approved.
Yes.
But Tony would have to approve it.
But let's not, you know, miss the forest for the trees here. Setting up a community foundation for a pool is a fantastic idea. It opens up, that 501c3 and especially the homestead tax credit, that comes along with donating to that, opens up donations for everyone in this community or beyond, right, that can donate that and get that tax incentive. So, for sure, that's a smart idea to do that. It's just unnecessary for, you know, just for us, you know?
Well, I think the key was Tony's request for a new pool, or could it be for pool repair and upgrade? I think he stipulated he wanted a new pool, is that correct?
I believe that to be correct, Terry. You know, some months ago when this started, yes.
So now with all the damage that we have to fix after the flooding, would Tony be willing to take and give it specifically to the city, to the pool? But you're still gonna have upgrade. How much do we put towards the pool every year? Even for wages and stuff. That's the key that I wanna ask Tony is, does it have to be for a new pool, or can it be for operations and repairing the pool as we currently have it?
Yeah, operations improvements, you know, that we do, and yeah, I think that we're at the point where we should sit down with Tony and visit with him. You know,
That might be the easiest way for us.
I know Levi's been doing that, but I maybe a little bigger committee.
Well, then maybe if you reach out to him and you can sit down and try to get help.
I'll give him a call.
I'll
It
be
just-
happy to sit in with you.
That seems fair. And again, the money is there, it's not going anywhere, and we continue to add to it every quarter.
But the key there is also that the city or the group or whatever has to request those funds. You can't just.
Of course, yeah.
That's the process.
So how does the fire department get theirs?
They send us a request every quarter.
They do, okay.
Yep. I contact Scott. Is it Scott?
Scott Olson?
Scott Olson,
Okay.
every quarter, and
Okay, going back to, we have a motion and a second. Paul, did you want to wait until the next commission meeting and see if we can have a meeting with Tony before we go down
No.
this road of approving it?
I don't need to, but I really want, maybe if you talk to Tony, we need to encourage him to, what he wants to do here. Does he want to go to a strictly pool? We need to figure out some way, you know, he either get together with John or Levi and just figure out some way, because that's what his intentions were initially when he set this up. And I think we just need to move forward with that instead of just having it, you know, because obviously you don't know what's going to happen in the future. You know, things change. And I'd rather, if that's what his intentions were, I think we should get that going and get whatever organization that can request that money so that it gets going into that organization. So, and whatever that, and we can't really do much until we get that, figure out what that's going to be.
I'll call Tony this week and try to get a meeting so that we can have a report next meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay, we've had any other discussion? So we got a motion and a second. Paul?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Levi?
Yes.
And a yes for me.
Appreciate it. Ashley, I believe there's a $45 fee that needs to take care of for that, if I'm not mistaken.
45 or 100, just whatever.
State statute says 25. I'm pretty sure it's 25, but,
It's either,
you know what, I'll leave it.
Write a
I'll just
check
check,
or-
and I'll get with Lee on Thursday, so we'll bring it up.
okay, sounds good, yep.
And then you just email me, so.
Okay,
All right.
sounds good, thank you.
Appreciate it. Hey, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. The community center and armory rental rates.
So I had asked Ashley, we're not just to talk about it, but we've made some improvements here. And with cleaning coming up, being more, do we look at adding that on? Just a thought, I wanted to bring it up, talk about it.
What do the commissioners think?
What are they now?
For the armory, it's 300 with a $150 deposit, and for here, okay, let me see if I can get this right. If you are a resident, then it's $100 deposit, and then the rental fee is $50. If you're a non-resident, I had it written down on my computer. It's more. I know that. I think it's $100. Is it $150 deposit and $100 rental fee? It's something along those lines. I was gonna have that and I forgot to grab it off my desk.
And there's no cleaning fee with it?
If they don't clean it, then they
Lose
don't
the
get their,
deposit.
yeah, then they lose the deposit. If they clean it, then they get then we shred the check for the deposit. Let me look, we should have it up. I'm just looking on, okay, community
You
center.
don't have anything for non-community members for the armory? That stays at 300 regardless, or 100?
Yes,
100 and 300, yep.
150 and 300. I do
It
believe.
says 100 on the
Okay, so
damage
maybe it-
deposited online here.
Okay, maybe it is 100 then.
I remember reading this back when we were doing the beanbag tournament, and I think there was some things in here that I think we should update too, so, but I can let you know, just some wording things, so.
Can we table this one and go ahead and take a look at
I think we need to.
paperwork and
Yeah.
then come back with it?
I do have some questions though regarding the armory and the community center. So somebody is having a wedding dance and they booked the armory for a Friday night, and I know Bambi was concerned about that. They actually came over to the office and looked at the community center, and it's not going to be a big wedding, so they'd actually like to use a community center instead. and no problem transferring their deposits and stuff over here and refunding them, whatever. We need to, the question that arose was, and I know we have it in our, in the thing that they can have alcohol. Mike, the question they were wondering, do they have to have a bar serve it and serve behind and have it behind the kitchen area there and roped off? Or since they have a security guard, are they allowed to bring their own alcohol, still have it behind the kitchen and roped off, and have a legal adult behind there?
So they're not selling the beer, it's just an
No,
open bar?
it's just bring your own booze type of thing.
But they're gonna have security.
But they're gonna have yes, they already have the security guard rented or booked, I guess.
So if we're gonna do that, that would be basically like taking that armory rental contract we use for a wedding dance and converting it to here, so we have the appropriate waivers and agreements. And if that were done, obviously I don't have a vote, but legally that wouldn't be a problem.
Okay, and we do have something in, Sarah had pulled it up. Let's see, where is it at?
And that was applicable to when they brought their own alcohol, correct? Otherwise, they have to move a license from a bar.
Yes.
And they would just cordon off the kitchen area, because
Right.
down at the armory, they like rope off an area that the bar sits in.
So this says uses of demised premises, leaseor rents to leasee, and leasee hires from leaseor the diminished premises for the following use or uses. The use or uses of demised premises shall be fully and accurately described and shall include a statement as to whether alcohol beverages will be allowed on the demised premises during the time of the lease. And then it shows, pull it over here. Of course, it just pulled up a new tab. That does not help. It shows a list of, I'm trying to get this right one here. It shows, dang it. It shows like lines, and they have to list what beverages they are gonna bring there. So down here in this grayed out area, if you look on the screen, that's where they list the type of beverages they are going to have.
I guess going back to, I think Levi's original point is that you got some pretty cool equipment in here now, and maybe the deposit for the community center, especially if they're having a wedding dance, should be increased. You know, again, just so if there's damage to the technology that we have, you know, that we'd be more well-served in the coverage of that, I guess.
This wedding is on the 24th of June, so it would be after the next commission meeting, so I can get all the numbers and send them to you guys, so you guys can make a decision about the rental fees at the next meeting too.
Well, and the other thought is that if we can up the rates both here and at the armory, do we look at then making upgrades there also, putting in a projector, sound system, those type of things, so that it is more useful? Internet, all those things that people are looking for when having meetings or whatever else.
Did Bambi give a reason why she was concerned about that Friday night at the armory?
Because it was gonna start at 5 o'clock.
Oh, before the children were all
Yeah.
gone? Okay.
And I talked to them about, well, it should be fine because we've had Sanford in there. They just would have to make sure nobody was in the hallways and not allowed to serve alcohol until after the daycare closed.
Okay.
And then they decided that this would actually fit. It's a smaller wedding. This would actually fit better than the armory, which is huge.
So we can go ahead and table this one, and you'll gather more information for us?
Yep.
And then, can we find out what some of the other little towns are doing for theirs too?
Yep.
Okay. Moving on to the last one, and I'll turn it over to you, Ashley.
Okay, so we got the Facade Grant from
Yes. So I'm gonna take a step down because I have business interest with this particular grant application, so I will turn it over to Levi.
Ashley, you want to give us a little brief on the facade grant? But before I do that, the only question we had talked about before was putting the facade grants towards the beautification commission. So are we doing that, or do you want to keep it here?
Oh, I forgot about that. That's your guys' decision.
But you're saying you want it to go before them instead of here?
Well, that, we had talked about that,
Oh.
so.
I don't think for the grants, I think we can do them just as well here as.
Gotta come
Okay.
back
as-
here anyway.
Just come back here, and I think
Okay.
for the facade grants, because, you know, that's.
It doesn't matter to me
Yep.
either way. I just know that we had talked about doing it to the,
No.
or sending those to there, but, so.
I don't see a problem. There isn't gonna be that many, and I think they can come here, so.
So you just want me to tell like what it's about?
Yep.
Okay. It's for outdoor patio areas enclosed with the railing system for the outdoor furniture at the brewery that will allow patrons to enjoy the nicer weather. Patio posts will be furnished as rails are attached. Dirt fill will be added to the west side and grass will be planted. Hold on, I gotta put this bigger. Okay, the boulevard will also be replanted with grass and leveled. Removal and replacement of west side sidewalk. Estimated total cost of the project is $16,500. Portion of the project the applicant proposes to pay is $11,500. Estimated date that the project will begin already started. Estimate completion date of the project would be 10/1/22. Anything else you'd like me? And then he has the estimate here too.
Any discussion from the commissioners?
I have no question.
The only, I think it's good, the only thing do we wanna get into the landscaping part of the project and sidewalks? Talked about building, so
That was my always impression, that
the building.
it was for the building.
Jerry, do you know how much just the building portion is?
Well, it's over $3,000 worth of outdoor, seating that I have right now. The railing system, I'd have to take and talk to Casey and Mitch, but it was gonna be expensive, so they figured about $7,000 for the rest of the sidewalk. And the sidewalk's broken up, there's no curb over there either, Jim, so, that boulevard's gonna be tough to keep up, so. But, yeah, I'd say that, right now, with, it easily meets exceeds what, what I'm asking for the grant money.
Cause I think the facade basically says it all, right,
The building, it wouldn't be the furniture, it'd be the, whatever's on the building part of it, not.
Well, the whole building basically could be counted towards the facade grant
Well,
compared to what
no.
used to be there.
yeah, and I agree with that.
What was the original intention of the facade grant? To update old buildings or?
Improve the front look of the,
Building itself.
yeah.
But there was never anything specific written about whether it was property or just the building itself, or?
It said you had to change a building, so new build doesn't really clarify in there where the building's built now, and now it's passing, so technically, we didn't put an age in there, and I don't, we match up to 5,000, correct?
Yes.
So as long as, cause he'll have to submit receipts for it at the end, so if it's sidewalk or anything else, it wouldn't be able to be approved, but anything that is, could be approved. That's my idea.
I think the sidewalks are beautification though too, even though it's not a part of the building.
But it's specifically facade, so facade would be the building.
Just depends on what you wanna open up going down the road.
much do you say the sidewalks were?
I
7,000?
think about 70. The initial portion that I put up front already was $7,500.
Cause like the dentist office, they redid theirs, they put new doors on theirs.
Right, and some did lights and some did
Yeah.
signs and other things.
Well, I got plenty more to add to it if you want.
Can't imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, if there's anything for the outside facade, but it's gotta be.
Well, I think it's a conversation we have to have, because we're gonna, because if we do approve this for sidewalks and boulevards, well,
Well,
you know.
so even if you take off, so if you take off the side, say 7,000 for the sidewalks, that puts at 9,500. So,
I'm not worried about that, Ashley, I'm just wondering going forward. Let's say that I wanna put where I park my pickup, I wanna put that all cement. Would that qualify, so I'm just being going
Right.
for the future.
right,
I don't have
ju-
any problem with Terry's doing, what I'm saying is
Okay.
in the future, do we wanna make,
Oh,
do we wanna be
clarify
more
it more.
clarifying
Okay.
on that so that,
Cause half of that would be 4,750. Sorry, I was just
Yeah.
sticking to this
Mhm.
part.
But I guess as part of the conversation too, at what point will the city say that you have to repair the sidewalk? Do I own the sidewalk? No. But am I responsible for the sidewalk? Same with the boulevard. I don't own the boulevard, but am I responsible for the boulevard?
And I don't think the city in all my years has ever asked anyone to pay for a dilapidated sidewalk, unless there was a special reason for it. I know some people have gone ahead and fixed sidewalks on their own. I understand your point.
Yep.
But I think the easy answer here is that you've got facade improvements that will max out the matching part of the grant.
Yeah,
And then
anyway.
Paul's discussion is really another point as it relates to future applicants for the grant.
Yep, and I have to get signage. I didn't put signage in yet
and may-
because I haven't gotten it figured out yet.
maybe we just move forward with this and then put it on the agenda if we do think we wanna change anything, have that as another agenda item for another time, what you're saying? To kinda, if we wanna make any more defined to the facade grant, define it more of what would qualify and what wouldn't qualify?
But we also, do you have to do it now? Because if we already move forward and we say that we pass this with everything as it states, is it now we set a precedence that we're gonna do sidewalks for?
But I also look at the fact that we're
yeah.
looking at changing those, we're making it known that those changes, because the way it's written right now, there's a lot of gray area, or there could be some gray area. So,
Yeah.
I just think that we wanna, going forward after this, we wanna clarify that.
And I think clarification is good, but Levi's point for now is well taken. So, a motion approving the facade improvements up to the maximum match, with the understanding that the cement doesn't qualify. It's gonna get the job done for Terry, and we'll be able to look in the future for clarification. At
If
least
Terry's
the
okay
way
with
I
that.
see it.
Okay.
So without the sidewalk, correct?
And I'll-
Boulevard fill.
Okay, then I don't have to take care of the boulevard? Just wanna make, I wanna make a note. If you're saying that I don't have, that I'm not gonna get paid to take and do the boulevard, then I'm gonna let it go to the weeds like it was last year.
That's not what I'm saying. I had to pay for what I fixed on our boulevard.
Yeah, I'll trim it, but I'm not gonna reseed it, if that's the way that it's gonna go.
But facade is building.
Well, to me,
That's the whole point
the
of the
beautification is
Yeah.
the whole
discussion,
thing,
yeah.
not just the facade.
But the grant is facade, meaning facade means building, not boulevard or grass. Facade is building. Don't you have other grants?
The city has not set any other grants out there. We've talked about it, but we haven't yet.
So another grant might come available eventually, but facade is building. The definition of facade is building, so therefore the ground would not count. It's just my own, and maybe I shouldn't be saying anything, but
Well-
that's just That's the definition of
Let-
facade.
Let me clarify. What I will take care of is the grass strip up to the sidewalk that's on my lot. The boulevard was just gonna be a bonus, basically, cause it looks really crappy and, you know, it needs to be taken care of. But it needs to be flattened out and reseeded otherwise. But, you know, I'm perfectly happy of paying for my own with the dirt fill and the grass on the west side of my building. But the boulevard, you know, again, I think that that's partially,
So can I do that as a citizen?
well, you're not commercial property, are you? So
But we still
commercial
have to take
property-
care of the property. I'm asking as a citizen now. I still have to take care of my boulevard. So, and we have a tree and we have weeds in our spot so if you stop taking care of it, I'm just looking at the bigger picture and people seeing this. Can
don't-
we
I'm
stop
saying
taking
I don't think
care
that's
of
the
it?
point
Stop
he would-
taking care of it. I'm
Yeah,
saying I'm not
he
gonna
was just gonna
reseed
say
it and
He
make
wouldn't
it more
redo all the
beautiful.
work on it.
'Kay.
He would still take care of it. so.
And if you like I say, there's a lot of other things that I need to do to finish up that I could add to the facade grant too, so signage being another one.
Which I think you could add on.
I think my battery must be done. You could add on after the fact to that part too. I mean,
Mhm.
once we approve the facade, it's just, I'd entertain for a motion to approve the Goose River Brewing's facade grant for up to $5,000 for improvements out in the patio area.
You have all that, Ashley?
Yep.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? Dave?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
And a yes for me. I'll turn the chair back over to Terry.
Thank you, Levi, and that puts us towards the end of our agenda here, so citizens to address the commission. Anyone out there that wants to speak up?
Apologize to Ashley for not being clear on what those photos were for that I sent to.
That's all right.
No, it isn't, because I didn't tell you what they were for. They just kind of sat there, I guess. But,
Mine had definitions of what they were.
Yeah.
Mine said what they were.
I didn't tell her what they were what was supposed to be done with them.
Oh.
So they just came.
Oh, okay.
them to P and Z.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Sorry about
we
that.
did.
Okay.
Anyway, I was at P and Z last week, and, John Lowry and Pat Muir were both there, and we had a discussion, and went out and looked at the driveway after the meeting, and, came up with a plan that sounds good. A lot of it can't quite be done yet, but there's a plan going forward. But it had just rained, last Sunday, Monday, so we couldn't walk out in the field, and I still have this concern, or Bruce and I still have this concern about the, you guys are aware of where the hole is in the ground, where the clay was taken out? Where Pat Miller took the clay out, and there's a hole in the ground there. And I kept calling it a berm around the hole, and, John is not sure what I'm talking about, a berm. Well, there's an obvious berm, and it's really hard to show in pictures. I tried to get pictures to show what it is. Berm meaning a raised area around the hole. So if you visualize the field as it was before, was flat, and it drained a certain way. Well, now, where that hole is, there's a berm around it. So wherever the drainage was supposed to be going, it can't go there anymore. And, which makes it, back up onto us. The surface drainage and, all of that, is a concern right now, because, you know, we live in a flat world here, and any little, I mean, there isn't a ditch draining water on us, but the erosion from the water moving down into the hole. But from that point, all the way west and northwest around, it's all the water that has, the rain that has fallen on the berm, the real erosion goes back to the northwest, which is where we live. So it's really hard to explain and it's really hard to show pictures. Unfortunately, Pat left before we got to this part because John seems to think that he doesn't know that there's a berm around the hole, and it's pretty visible.
Has he seen these pictures? John?
He's seen all the drainage pictures that you guys
Okay.
saw, and we took care of that. That was the driveway issue. But I can't get any pictures to show what, well, you can see it because the berm is actually subsoil, so it's lighter colored. So it's very obvious that it's raised. And, you know, 250 feet southeast, from the southeast corner of our property is berm. 250 feet is not very far where that berm starts. And it's, like I said, it's about 4 feet high and 20 feet. So that's significant when you're draining inches of elevation. So I don't know if this is the final way it's gonna be till the pond is built, but it's an issue because it's just drainage that soaks in, and, you know, we have seasonally high water table. So it's ponding in our trees, and our trees can only take so much before they die because there's no oxygen for them, the roots. So
Did-
it's ponding now.
Did Pat and John go out with you then after the planning and zoning meeting and take another look? I didn't follow up on that.
At the driveway, and we've got that clarified.
So the driveway's good.
Driveway. You know, they haven't done it yet. They said what they're gonna do, so I'm hopeful that they will. They were very cordial and saw what I was talking about and agreed that it's an issue. But we couldn't walk out to see this because it was too wet, it was muddy. I mean, we were just on the driveway. So I was hoping that John, I didn't know that John and Pat wouldn't be here tonight for the votes and everything for the rezoning. I forgot the procedure, so I thought they could address it here, but because Pat isn't chiming in on the emails, I don't know if you get the emails too. Sending those to the conversation that we've had back and forth.
I got your pictures.
Yeah,
There's been a
if
conversation.
if you sent them to the info, Sarah checked that, so I can double check with her, but I usually let her handle the info stuff, 'cause it's usually requesting information for bills and things like that.
Yeah.
But I
So-
can look at it.
Yeah, and just to read it quick, this is what John said. We will verify drainage is working properly in the east-west drain on the north side of lot 5, block 1, that's next to the county road. During the site visit, the west inlet appeared to be clogged. No problem is anticipated. And recreating around the hydrant where it's standing water, they're gonna correct the grading there to drain that water. And then the west side of the driveway is directly between me and Bruce and Pat, because the culvert's collapsed, and that's what the problem is. And Pat said, well, we can take it to the farms, crossing and stuff. Then pond concerns, here's what John said, we will verify that the pond is not blocking or damming any water. It should be a hole dug in the field, not burned. And then he talks about as the progress of the development continues, their plan is to put the swales and storm sewer on the rear yards east of the property. So that would provide positive drainage. But the issue is we don't know if that's gonna be 5 years or 10 years or 2 years and if we've got drainage issues now and they're not addressed, that's my issue. And
I'll try to reach out to John, and I think now, once we get the rezoning and the approvals for that and those two apartment complexes, they start construction, I think part of what you're talking about will be taken care of, because they're gonna have to take in, again, that water's gotta go somewhere, so they're gonna have to take and make sure that it drains correctly. I'm not sure when the lake is supposed to be finished up. That was phase 2, and I know they're concentrating on phase 1 right now, but they had excavated some of that, so that might be excess soil out there that is built up that will be removed also. So I know this is a difficult, it's difficult taking care of it right now, and you're concerned about your trees, but all that we can do right now that I'm aware of is to talk to John as the developer and see if there's a way to make sure that they recommend taking care of that.
And I found that email, and so I just forwarded it on to all of the commissioner. The last one that John Lowry sent, that seems to be the last one that I see in here. Yes, and so I found that one. I was able to pull it up, so I just emailed it to all of them, so they have a chance to look at it.
And that's, it's got the whole thread. all the
Yep.
way back to the beginning. Great, thanks. And to your point, Mary, it's that, yes, that's what we hope, because and that's what I'm here is mostly is because the anxious nature of getting these apartment buildings going, and I don't want the drainage to be forgotten, and then it's harder to fix.
Yeah, and,
So-
and I know that lake is a big deal for their phase 2, so, yeah,
But the other drainage too,
yep. Well,
that's
They-
the issue, 'cause
yep, they did,
I'm not a high priority, and I know I'm not, so, but,
I will give him a call and then get back to you.
thanks. That's all I have.
Anyone else? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Got a motion from Dave, do I have a second?
I can second.
Paul seconds, we're adjourned. It comes through and then it goes away, what's going on with mine? You sent it, and then it flashed, and then it's gone.
It's not there?
No,
Oh.
and it just flashed,
You
and
might
then,
have